mentioned the concern with the reduction of the agricultural buildings going down 50 meters. But in general, they supported it, except for they did have conditional on their support to maintain the 30-meter setback for lands abutting residential zones, which that was a change we made following committee review, was to include that as part of the zoning bylaw amendment. And then, like I mentioned before, some concerns from the Agricultural Advisory Committee was provided in terms of perhaps that there was a need to bring a number of variances forward. And as well, again, concerned with the reduction of the agricultural setback from 30 meters to 15, which staff thinks we've addressed with the residential use requirement of 30 meters still within the zoning bylaw. So in conclusion, we're recommending that council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw administrative amendments to help improve our development process, provide clear interpretation of the bylaw to staff and to applicants, and also consistency to all applicants moving forward.
Thank you. Denise, my apologies. You were written down as wanting to speak to the previous public hearing. Did you wish to do that now?
No, it was this one.
Oh, it was this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Denise McDonald, 4612 Simpson Road. I did send a note off to you. I did it last night. It's not perfect. And there's already a suggestion to change some of the wording that we proposed. I'm the chair of the Ag Advisory, and I think Brad and Aaron's notes are wonderful for our Ag Advisory meetings. I'll just read out the letter I sent to you. October 16th, 2020, the Ag Advisory Committee informally requested that an amendment be added to the zoning bylaw update. Currently under section 8 of the A1 and A2, no provisions are listed to allow fruit stands, and I'll change that to farm stands, produce stands, to encompass all crops. Wineries, brewing, and distilling are listed in our bylaws and are allowed, but the primary producer is not authorized to sell produce off farm. This omission in Summerland zoning bylaws is causing some problems for farmers to plan expansions of their operation in this coming year. Please note that under the provincial ALR zoning regulations, local governments are not permitted to prohibit produce stands, fruit stands on ALR farms. In light of the discrepancies in the two different sets of regulations and the efforts today in updating the local bylaws, the Ag Advisory is asking that bylaw number 2020-025 be amended to include produce and specialty crops, whatever word you want. Specialty crop fruit stands has a permitted use on lands designated as agriculture under the district's official community plan. So is that clear? I don't know how this wasn't brought up 40 years ago. It's a strange thing that we have in this town, that the farmers aren't allowed to sell their produce off their farm, but we can sell wine and cider and distilleries. So it's a simple fix, I think, and I don't think we need a lot of time to go through the process, in my view. But because there is someone who is planning on building the fruit stand along with a packing house, and they're really nervous because they're ready to build. They're not, because of this technicality, they can't go forward. So I would appreciate some discussion on this and the fix. Oh, and one more thing on the other setback. just from our own experience on our farm, lots of hillsides, farms on either side of us, even if the setback between farms, they don't ask for retaining walls because there's no money for retaining walls. And in our experience, they dig away at the property line. And we've got drop-offs of 10 feet, and it's quite dangerous. It's quite dangerous. So just so you know that the setback, it's kind of two issues, between farmland and residential. So, thank you. Any questions?
We can't have questions with you right now, but thank you very much. Okay. So now on to our last public hearing. Bylaw number 2026, Development Application Procedures Bylaw, and bylaw number 20027, Official Community Plan Amendment.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the intent of this bylaw was to bring forward a new and updated development application procedures bylaw that has been on the docket to review for a while, and we're very excited to bring this forward for council consideration and adoption. For some background, the previous land use procedures bylaw was 1998 adopted, so it's been a long time that it's been in place. Staff have been working on a draft bylaw that we was presented to council over a year ago, I believe. However, that bylaw was deferred back to staff so that additional consultation could occur. Just for council and the public's benefit, the intent of this bylaw deals with all planning applications that the district manages. And again, going back to the bylaw that was presented in mid-2019, a number of issues were identified, and the council felt that perhaps the scale of it was too large for the community size of Summerland. Next slide. So staff also presented the draft bylaw to the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee in June of this past year. And we received a number of comments that were included in the council report that we provided for council benefit. And following the comments that we received from the committee and also received from council from a year ago, staff worked to come forward with a new bylaw that's was going to perhaps condense the bylaw that was put forward in 2019 to streamline our processes, to try to create some clarity as to what will be the requirements for each of the applications, and take into consideration all of the comments that we received from the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee. And so following that review and subsequent creation of a new bylaw, we brought forward that back to the committees for consideration. So the proposed bylaw includes the applications, like I mentioned, for all land use related, including the Agricultural Land Commission applications and licenses from the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch for cannabis licenses. Next slide. Key change for the proposed bylaw is the delegation of the decision-making authority for certain development permits. The more environmental development permits that we have, the high hazard one, which we just talked about, the environmentally sensitive, water course, wildfire hazard, Those are reliant on professionals that are experts in those fields to submit reports and staff to evaluate those reports and based on guidelines within the OCP. So those ones were felt to be more easily delegated down to staff versus having or the need for discretionary council decision making. Because generally the onus is on the professional to meet the OCP guidelines, and that's the ones who are not within those permits. Next slide. For our more form and character development permits, so we have a number downtown, Lower Town, Trout Creek, Bentley Road, as well as multifamily residential. We also are recommending that delegation of some of these permits be brought down to staff. We put a number of criteria that are listed on the slide there as to which of these types of permits would be delegated down to staff. The main intent here is to try to help with processing time and to provide some more efficiency to the applicant if these form and character development permits are more minor in nature. They would still, again, need to conform with the official community plan guidelines for these DPs, but the process for approval could be achieved more quickly and efficiently if these decisions are made through staff rather than need to bring forward to council and notify through the council notification process. So you can, I'm not going to go through all of those criteria as to when it does get delegated, but happy to take any questions following this presentation. Next slide. As well, within the proposed bylaw, we've got a more robust public notification and consultation section, specifically compared to the current bylaw we're currently using. We are requiring for rezonings and official community plans that the developer do their own public information meeting prior to it going forward to council for consideration. So that would be something new for the district, and that applicants would have to have their own open house or information meeting for remote, more complex zoning and OCP amendments, as well as for temporary use permits for those that come forward. We don't receive a lot of those. As well, we're boosting the notification area for OCPs and also the DDPs from 30 meters to 60 meters of radius around the subject property to ensure that we're getting a more robust amount of people that are perhaps having concern. And then also we propose that for all of our applications, we provide a website updates as well as we would continue to provide notification to council through our monthly reports to council on the approvals that we provide. Just in general, we've got about 25 pages of procedures for all of our development applications proposed. We had specific application procedures that were in the previous 2019 bylaw, which have been removed, feeling that they were more procedural in nature and could be dealt with at the staff level through administrative policy. I think next slide. And so going into the committee review, the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee was in full support of our proposed a new bylaw that we brought forward on September of this year. They provided some comments in regards to our delegation for character DPs. We did include the addition of a maximum floor area requirement to trigger the delegation of authority of for example, an industrial area. Sorry, that may be related to commercial. So that if it goes over that 1,500 meters square mark, it will go up to council for a decision. And I think that's pretty much it for this slide. Next slide. And then as well, associated with these changes, we are proposing some official community plan amendments just to clean up our OCP. We had some, for example, development approval information criteria within all of our development permit areas within the OCP that are now currently within the proposed development application procedures bylaw, so which staff feels is a better place for those. So those are proposed to be pulled out of the OCP and put in the development procedures application bylaw. And then I do want to mention as well, we're changing the criteria of the watercourse development permit to be reliant on the ministry for approval of those works within riparian areas, which is a recent change from the ministry, which they do want to review the works in riparian areas prior to local government approval. So that's a recent change last year. So in general, just to conclude, we're recommending that staff proceed, sorry that recommendation is for first and second, but to proceed with third and adoption for both the development application procedures bylaw and the official community plan amendment bylaw. Thank you.
Anybody here to speak to this public hearing? Okay, so then I will close that one, and if there's no further public input, and there's nothing more that council requires in terms of another staff report, I will ask someone to adjourn the public hearing, all the public hearings. Thank you, Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes. All those in favor? Okay, that is carried. Fantastic. Are there any what? Heat, yeah, it's a little chilly.
Keep you away.
Yes, it's 8:15. We're going to have a quick 5-minute break, so we'll resume at 8:20.